For context, I'm from a fairly misogynistic cultural background, and one where children tend to live with their parents until they're married, so something like moving in with a boyfriend is seen as taboo. My parents spent most of their lives in our native country, but I was very young when we immigrated to the US, so I grew up around American culture and values. As I grew older, I naturally deviated more and more from the restrictions that my parents placed on me. Even living by myself in my own apartment was a hurdle. They are also extremely overprotective, and lying is now a foundation of my relationship with them so that I can live a normal adult life. I believe that living with a partner is vital before any engagement or marriage. My boyfriend and I have been together for 3 years now, and we want to move in together. He has been offered a job that would require us to move kind of far from where our parents are, but still in the US. When I brought this up with my parents, they were not happy. They said I can't go around acting like I'm a boy. What will we tell your relatives? You have to be engaged first. If you don't care about us, then do it. They also had some concerns about my well-being, but that seemed to be the least of their concerns. They said I was causing them stress. I consulted with my older brother, 30 years old, as he knows how controlling they can be, and he said, "Do what you want, and they'll have to accept it." I don't tell them what I'm doing anymore, I just do it. I love my parents and value my relationship with them, and I know they love me, but I'm not going to let them control my life. I feel like this is a turning point in our relationship where I'm going to adopt my brother's attitude about it, but I know my relationship with my parents will suffer, even though I know they will always love me. They wouldn't cut me off or anything like that. I know they won't be around forever, but I wish they were more supportive of me just being an adult. I still plan on visiting them every month after moving. Am I the a-hole? TLDR. My parents are frustrated with my desire to move in with my boyfriend, and I know doing so will damage my relationship with them. This is the biggest thing I've ever done against my parents' wishes, but I have to live my adult life. Am I the a-hole? Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not the idiot I left home at 22. My parents, mainly my mom, weren't the most thrilled about it for various and kind of selfish reasons. Within 6 months, the relationship with both parents was better than it was when I was living with them. Now, as a parent myself, I can understand why they would be hesitant to give their blessing to you moving in with a boyfriend. But you have to do what you feel is best. And as long as you are moving in with someone you are confident will be a good partner for you, then that's your decision to make and yours alone. I wish you the best of luck in whatever decision you decide is best for yourself. Just try to be as civil as possible with your family, as tough as it is. Comment 2. Not the idiot. Your brother has it figured out, and it sounds like you're ready to a page out of his book. Your parents might mean well, but this is your life, and you deserve happiness from it. I'd also communicate with your partner some of this, if you haven't. Having him to lean on and having his emotional support is going to make all of this easier, not to mention allowing him to understand both you, your family, and your background better. Comment 3. Not the idiot. They raised you as an American and now they're upset that you don't live by their home country's values. They'll get over it. Do what your brother says. They will adjust. It's just harder the older people get. But I promise this won't be the biggest scandal your family faces. Trust me, one day you'll find this laughable in comparison other things that happen. It's life. Good luck now for the update. So after moving in with my boyfriend, things initially felt like a breath of fresh air, a newfound independence. It was thrilling, almost intoxicating. However, as we settled into domestic life, the cracks began to show. Living with someone, as it turns out, is nothing like dating them. For starters, my boyfriend has some strange habits that came to light. He doesn't just leave the toilet seat up, but he also has this bizarre ritual of brushing his teeth while on the toilet. There's something unsettling about finding toothpaste spatter on the toilet seat in the morning. His idea of grocery shopping is also stocking up on frozen pizzas and soda cans, completely disregarding any nutritional value. I came home one day to find him attempting to repair a leaky faucet, only to have the entire kitchen flooded. Meanwhile, my parents haven't been making this transition any easier on me. They went from being upset to outright hostile. I was cut off from the family group chat, and they've stopped speaking to me entirely. It seems they've taken my decision as a personal affront and have started spreading rumors within our community about how I've abandoned my family for a man. My older brother is still supportive, but he's confessed that he's been feeling the heat from our parents too. However, one of the most disconcerting occurrences was when my aunt showed up at my doorstep unannounced. She bombarded me with a barrage of criticisms and judgment, citing the whispers that have been circulating in our community. She left me with a feeling of deep shame and regret, something I've been struggling with ever since. Lastly, my job decided to let me go, citing performance issues despite my consistent high ratings. I suspect my recent life changes had something to do with it. My conservative boss never hid his disdain for those who broke away from traditional norms. So, here I am, grappling with the harsh reality of cohabitation, familial estrangement, community judgment, and joblessness. Not exactly the liberating experience I was hoping for. However, I'm not ready to throw in the towel just yet. I continue to believe in my choice, albeit with a newfound perspective on the challenges that come with it. Now, for the comments. 1. Not the idiot. It's tough when family doesn't support your choices, but ultimately, you're an adult and have the right to live your life as you see fit. Your boyfriend's habits might be strange, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're harmful or wrong. Communication is key here. Talk to him about your feelings and address any problems directly. 2. Not the idiot. It's unfortunate that you lost your job, but jumping to the conclusion that it's because of your lifestyle might be a bit premature. You might want to look into whether there were other factors at play. And remember, just because life gets tough doesn't mean you made the wrong decision. It's your life, and you should be proud of the courage it took to take this step. 3. Not the idiot. It's a shame your aunt is making you feel ashamed and regretful, but remember that her perspective might be based on her own experiences and biases. It's important to make decisions based on what feels right for you, not based on what others might think or say. You're facing a lot of challenges right now, but that doesn't mean you're in the wrong. Stay strong and believe in yourself. Now, for the next story. Am I the idiot? This is going to be long, and it's my first time posting, so hang with me. My ex and I have been divorced for a few years after having a horrible end to our marriage, but I still wanted him to be a part of our kids' lives and gave him a chance to be a good dad. He seemed to struggle for a while to be present with them, and his girlfriend-fiancé was the one who did most of the parental duties. After a bit, he really started to get better with them, and he was finally being the dad that they deserved. I would have the kids constantly telling me that her oldest was physically violent, playing too rough, hitting them, etc. with them, and the adults never did anything to stop it. So, that would cause us to fight and argue because he would call them liars, and I would go toe-to-toe against my ex and his fiancé, trying to stand up for our kids. Fast forward to a few months ago. My youngest kids told me that her oldest has been sexually harassing them. After questioning, I got horrible details. Took them to the hospital to get checked, and it was all confirmed. The police and everything have been involved, and charges pressed against the teen. My ex married her a week after her oldest was arrested. My kids had nightmares about ever seeing their dad again. It also came out that they had been trying to tell him for months it was happening, and he would never listen to them. The anger inside me rages about him not caring enough to protect our kids and their trauma. So I moved my kids across the continent to get away from them, but I have been called an AH because of it. So am I the idiot? Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. You're such a strong parent, and I hope everything goes well for you. I can't imagine enduring through all the pains they've caused you. I hope you and your kids stay safe too. Comment 2. Not the idiot. You're protecting your kids, unlike your ex who put no effort whatsoever to hear his kids out. How could he do such a thing? Comment 3. Thank you so incredibly much. All I've ever wanted to do is to protect them with everything I am now. For the update. I felt I had to provide an update because these past weeks have been a maelstrom of emotions and challenges. I'm in the midst of a legal battle as the ex has filed for shared custody. They're trying to argue that I've kidnapped our children by moving far away, torn them away from their father, and denied them the right to a full family. It's a nightmare trying to defend my actions because it feels like the system is against me. My children are in therapy now, struggling to heal from the profound trauma they've experienced. The youngest has started stuttering, something the therapist says it's a trauma response, a way their fragile mind is processing the horrors they've been through. It's heartbreaking to see my child fight to get their words out, knowing that they were once so talkative and bubbly. The school the children were attending received news of the situation, and some parents have started a smear campaign. They're spreading rumors that I've fabricated the entire thing for attention and as a way to justify taking the kids away from their father. The ostracization has been monumental, and it's a struggle to get my kids to interact with their peers. Their friendships have dwindled, and I can see the loss in their eyes every day. The eldest has been having frequent panic attacks and nightmares. They often wake in the middle of the night, drenched in cold sweats, crying out for me. The sight of their father's face terrifies them, and they're constantly paranoid that he'll come to take them away. They flinch at the sound of the doorbell, a knock on the door, even a car pulling into the driveway. It's a constant state of fear that no child should have to live in. The ex's new spouse tried reaching out to me, apologizing for their oldest son's actions. They asked for forgiveness, tried to explain that their son was also a victim of circumstances and that they were getting him help. But how can I forgive them for ignoring my children's cries for help? The most heart-shattering part is the children blaming themselves for the chaos. They feel guilty for telling me about the abuse, thinking they've caused all this. They've even asked if they could go back and tell their past selves not to say anything. It's tearing me apart seeing them shoulder a burden that isn't theirs to bear. Despite the madness and the pain, there are moments of hope. The kids have started bonding again, looking out for each other more fervently than ever. In our new home, they've found comfort in the unfamiliarity. It's a fresh start away from the horrors of the past. I've also received messages of support from people who believe us, offering encouragement and advice. This journey has been a tragedy we never asked for, but we're fighting to stand tall. The battle is far from over, but we're not going to back down. While every day is a struggle, I remain steadfast in my belief that I made the right choice. For my children, I'll move heaven and earth. Now, for the comments. 1. Not the idiot. You're doing everything in your power to protect your children from further harm. It's heartbreaking that they're exhibiting signs of trauma, but they're in therapy, and that's a good step towards healing. You're doing the right thing standing up against your ex and their false accusations. It's tough handling the judgment from the school community, but your primary focus should be on your children's well-being and not on people who choose to believe rumors. 2. Not the idiot. The fact that your ex's new spouse has acknowledged their oldest son's actions but did nothing about it in the past makes them just as guilty. It's understandable that you're finding it hard to forgive. The guilt your children are carrying isn't theirs to bear. It's the adults who failed them. It's commendable that you're fighting for their rights and prioritizing their healing process despite the challenges and backlash you're facing. 3. Not the idiot. The most important thing here is that your kids feel safe and loved in their new home. The fact that they're bonding and finding comfort in it shows that they're beginning to heal. I understand the struggle with the school community, but it's important to remember that they don't know the full story. Keep fighting for your children and their well-being. You're setting an example of courage and resilience for them. Now, for the next story. I have been with my wife for almost 20 years. We have an excellent emotional connection and talk openly, honestly, and freely all the time. It has been a cornerstone of our relationship since before we even started dating. The communication never feels forced. It is just natural, and we feel comfortable talking about anything with each other. Very early on, my girlfriend, now wife, told me she wanted to have kids, regardless of whether they were biological or adopted. I told her I am not comfortable being a father, but I did not want to end the relationship. Fast forward to a few years ago, my wife told me she was pregnant, and it hit me pretty hard. I have been there through every step, held her leg up during delivery, and watched my daughter come into this world. I was even a stay-at-home dad for 2 years to help out. The first year was actually pretty easy once I got the routine down. That being said, I would still be 100% okay with us never having kids had we not had them. Do not mistake this as, I don't love my daughter. I absolutely do, even though she can drive me up the wall at times. If anyone were to hurt my daughter, I would go John Wick on their butt, despite the repercussions. So I know I definitely care about and love my kid. However, I am a reluctant father, despite the fact that I do spend time with her, teach her things like how to use a knife correctly, how things work, and even play Tea Party Birthday, including the Play-Doh birthday cake pancakes. So, does me staying with my wife just to be with her, despite me not wanting kids and her wanting them, make me a jerk instead of letting her go beforehand, and hopefully her finding another guy who would love to have kids? Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not the idiot. I can see where you may be having this questioning, but remember, your wife isn't bound to you forever. If she were truly unhappy, she could leave. You label yourself a reluctant father, yet you also talk about being a SAHD for 2 years, be willing to go scorched earth if someone hurt your daughter, and you do all the little things that matter. You are reluctant because you aren't confident, and that is okay. You were honest with your wife from day one that you were never comfortable being a father, but when the situation arose, you stepped up. Your wife had a choice in here to walk away. You had a choice to walk away and be a weekend-only dad. You both had choices and still chose to do this together. You are doing the best to be a good dad, even though you aren't sure about it. You aren't treating your wife or child with resentment, and the fact that you are concerned for your wife shows just how deeply you care. Be proud of how you have stepped into that role. Be confident and continue to love your wife and daughter because you seem to be doing it right and well. Comment 2. I kind of skim when I read, so maybe I missed the part where you lied to your girlfriend and said you were enthusiastic about kids, or the part where you locked her in your basement so she would have to stay with you. It sounds like you were upfront about what you wanted, and she made her choice. Then life happened and surprised both of you. Where is this reluctance coming from? I could see you asking, am I the idiot for suspecting my wife got pregnant on purpose? Or am I the idiot for not wanting more kids when my wife does? But your wife got what she wanted in life and you love your daughter. So what is there for you to be the bad guy about? I think some additional introspection is necessary here. Comment 3. Not the idiot. The decision to leave or not leave you to pursue a better relationship was your wife's. If you were honest with her beforehand and she decided to stay with you despite your differences, I don't see a problem here. From what you've said, you're even doing your best to be a good father. You're definitely not the AH. Now for the update, I wish I could say things have been getting better, but the reality couldn't be further from that. The truth is, the cracks that had formed in our relationship have only widened over the past month, mirroring the growing divide in my heart. My wife's job has recently demanded more of her time, requiring her to travel quite frequently. Unfortunately, this has led to me spending a lot more time alone with our daughter. I've been doing my best to fill the role of both parents, but it's been a struggle. I found myself restless and easily agitated, a stark contrast to my usually calm demeanor. I can't help but feel guilty. My little girl is growing and changing so quickly, but instead of cherishing each moment, all I can think about is how unequipped and undeserving I am of this role. She deserves a father who can love her unconditionally, without any doubt or regret. My wife and I finally had a talk, one that I dreaded but was inevitable. Her eyes held a sorrow I never wanted to see, and she admitted that she'd noticed my emotional distance. There were tears, and for the first time in 20 years, we couldn't find a middle ground. No reassurances, no comforting smiles, just an unsettling silence that hung heavily between us. In an attempt to ease my burden, she suggested hiring a nanny to help out during her business trips. But as much as I appreciated the gesture, it only seemed to underscore the depth of our issue. It wasn't about needing help. It was about me simply not wanting to be a father. The guilt has been eating me alive. I'm preventing her from having the family she's always wanted, a partner who genuinely wants to be a father. The worst part? My daughter is growing up with a dad who's mentally absent, who's constantly questioning his place in her life. I've started seeing a therapist, hoping to find some clarity amidst all this turmoil. It's a small step, but it's the only thing I feel I can do right now. As for my wife and I, we're at a crossroads, and I'm scared of what the future might hold. All I know is, I need to figure out my feelings and make a decision. For both of them, but also for myself. Now, for the comments, not the idiot. It's perfectly normal to feel overwhelmed and struggle with changes in your life. It's evident that you're trying to work things out, given that you've started therapy. It's important to communicate your feelings and fears with your wife, though, so you both can understand each other's perspectives. Info. It's a bit unclear how you've approached the situation with your wife. Have you tried explaining your feelings of guilt and inadequacy to her? She might be more understanding and supportive if she knows what you're going through. Also, consider the suggestion of hiring a nanny not as a sign of your failure, but as an additional support system for your family. You're the idiot if you continue to let your internal struggles dictate your relationship with your family without seeking their understanding. It's tough to be in your position, but it's crucial to remember that your wife is also dealing with the stress of her job and the changes in your relationship. Your daughter needs both of you. It's not about embracing the role, but adapting to it and doing the best you can for your family. If you liked this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day!